Dear ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joanna Burnos.
And my name is Marcin Burzański, and we have the immense pleasure of welcoming everybody today in Warsaw to the 2021 Warsaw Security Forum. It is honestly an amazing event for us because we are so happy to have everybody join together in person after the 2 turbulent years we've had. And this is the first edition of the Warsaw Security Forum that will be conducted in a hybrid manner, which means we welcome all of our friends in person in Warsaw, and we welcome viewers and participants around the globe who will join us online today. Ladies and gentlemen, I will remind you that we are also on social media, which apparently is working again, and you can please use the hashtag Warsaw Security Forum 2021 and participate and share your opinions and share your views with us. Ladies and gentlemen, today's event is an opportunity to discuss the most burning matters in defense and in security globally. We are opening now the Defense and Resilience track, and we will discuss key issues for the region, for Central and Eastern Europe, for European security, for NATO, and for global affairs. We will also have the opportunity to connect between the defense industry, between policymakers, between influencers. Warsaw today is the epicenter of global security and defense.
We would now like to invite to stage Zbigniew Pisarski, the co-founder and co-chair of Warsaw Security Forum, as well as the organizing party Casimir Pulaski Foundation. The fact that we are all here to discuss the most pressing issues around security and defense would not be possible without him. Zbigniew Pisarski, our first speaker, will deliver the opening speech. Zbigniew, please join us on stage.
Good morning, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be back online. And I mean online because it looks that on the eve of the Warsaw Security Forum, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but electricity in this beautiful venue was cut off. Internet globally and social media were cut off. It looks that we have a lot of subjects to discuss over the next 2 days. So Warsaw became again the European capital of security. Dear ministers, honorable ambassadors, members of parliament, generals, army officers, ladies and gentlemen, good friends. Good morning to all of you here in Warsaw, as well as of you watching our stream online. On behalf of the Casimir Pulaski Foundation and the German Marshall Fund, I have an amazing pleasure to welcome you to the defense track of the Warsaw Security Forum 2021. This will be the 8th edition of this event that for the first time in history, like was already mentioned, will be organized in a hybrid manner, both online and here in person. It is our tradition here at the Warsaw Security Forum that every year a different country becomes a partner nation that is helping us in organizing the forum. This year, the guest country of the Warsaw Security Forum is Italy. And it has been chosen from a number of candidates that wanted to be our partner. So I don't know how it's probably buongiorno, I should say, but well, I will practice during the next 2 days. I promise to improve it. The Polish-Italian history is long and beautiful. Although we do not have time to mention it all, the most honorable mentions certainly include the existence of Polish legions in Italy during the Napoleonic Wars, Italy being the first state to recognize the Polish independence of 1918, and the fact that Warsaw Old Town, that you will hopefully visit, was rebuilt based on the 18th century panoramas painted by Italian painter Canaletto. Our economic cooperation is centuries old and still continues to this day. Thank you to our Italian guests, especially Lorenzo Guerini, the Minister of Defense, and Alessandro Profumo, CEO of Leonardo, for being here today with us. The past year, as well as large part of 2021, have been particularly difficult for all of us. The global pandemic that took countless lives, tore families apart, and deprived people of the most basic necessities in life. Family, friends, and even work has been dominant topic of media worldwide. However, what quickly becomes obvious is that even despite of worldwide health crisis, global politics goes on. So are the defense and security issues. Quite quickly, we have learned that the threats to national security do not go dormant. Quite in contrary, our enemies began to use the pandemic as just another tool for waging their wars and destabilization campaigns. That is why today and tomorrow, all of us here will be discussing a wide variety of topics relevant to the defense and security of contemporary Europe, from the air defenses and the relevance of the naval forces, all the way to digitalization and cybersecurity, as well as the possibility of a full-fledged war on the NATO East Flank. We will also discuss the relevant developments on the international arena, Afghanistan, and the hybrid warfare on NATO's eastern borders. Before I will yield the floor to our next very special speaker, I want to remind us all that despite the ongoing pandemics and despite the constant threats to the national security, I'm certain that the security crisis can all be overcome. It is not my optimism talking, but rather a deep faith in the strength of cooperation and close integration. In the past, Poland, Europe, and the world managed crises of greater scale. It is just the same here today. Europe, our international organizations, and each and every individual nation has to come together as the strength lies in numbers. I hope that this message will be reaffirmed by the debates happening here today and tomorrow. Last, but certainly not least, I wanted to thank our strategic partners and sponsors for making this conference possible. Thank you to our co-organizers, the German Marshall Fund of the United States, as well as the President Bureau of National Security and NATO headquarters. Today we will have the opportunity to hear from the President of Poland, Mr. Andrzej Duda, the Minister of Defense, Mr. Mariusz Błaszczak, who is today already with us, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Zbigniew, Head of National Security Bureau, Mr. Paweł Soloch. I would like to thank our strategic sponsors, Leonardo, Lockheed Martin, and Raytheon, without whom these activities wouldn't be possible. On behalf of the Casimir Pulaski Foundation and the German Marshall Fund, I welcome you in Warsaw and hope you will enjoy your time here. I officially open the Warsaw Security Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Zbigniew. And now I have the great pleasure to invite to the stage the Minister of Defense of the Republic of Poland, Mr. Mariusz Błaszczak. Panie ministrze, zapraszamy.
Ministers, dear organizers, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by thanking the organizers for the invitation to this conference and for the opportunity to present the general framework of the Polish defense policy. I believe here in Warsaw we have a good venue to discuss important issues related to the alliance's security in our region and beyond. This can be considered as one of the conceptual contributions from the region to the current debate, especially among NATO alliance, about how to make our deterrence and defense and our resilience against the key threats more solid. A good starting point for defining any defense concepts and priorities is always an appropriate and honest threat assessment. This is even more important nowadays when the security environment in Europe and in many other regions has become more volatile and less predictable than even a few years ago. The end of history, predicted a few decades ago, has not come, just the opposite. History has accelerated. We don't know exactly how the events will develop, but precisely because of that, we have to be prepared for different scenarios, even those harsh and unwanted. Here in Europe, the security landscape is suffering significant deterioration as a result of Russia's belligerent foreign and defense policies. These policies, marked by constant build-up of military power, frequent threats, direct or indirect, to utilize in foreign relations, as well as other forms of testing our resilience, have unfortunately become a new normal for Russia's neighborhood. The rise in military power in the Western Military District, in Baltic Sea region, but also in the Baltic Sea, in a Black Sea region, or in the Arctic, accompanied by more and more sophisticated hybrid techniques, generates a spectrum of challenges to security in Europe. Let me evoke the recently concluded Zapad 21 strategic exercise nearby NATO borders. As a visible demonstration of constantly developing military strength by Russia, the exercise has manifested Russia's comprehensive toolbox of military and non-military means and techniques to be available for multi-domain operations. It has highlighted Moscow's focus on maintaining capabilities to control the conflict escalation across the board. In order to catch the adversary by surprise and off guard, and resolve potential conflict quickly and decisively. The lessons learned highlight inter alia the challenge of an early time gap in our defenses, one of the issues in the alliance's readiness that should be addressed more determinedly. The events in Georgia in 2008 and in Ukraine in 2014 have shown the readiness and timely reaction are critical. Especially the conflict in Ukraine has manifested the complexity of means for modern warfare, including the detrimental potential of hybrid tools. Today's situation on the borders of Poland, Lithuania, and Latvia with Belarus exemplifies the possibilities for malevolent across trying to weaken and undermine our security. Combined with military activities like large-scale exercises or dislocation of offensive systems in the vicinity of NATO borders, this means can significantly contribute to escalation and thus weaken NATO's and the EU's security. Vis-à-vis these threats, the Euro-Atlantic community has to be politically coherent and solidary. A cohesion and unity remains prerequisite for effective counter-strategy against these threats. Western solidarity and the principle of indivisibility of security are the point of departure for effective deterrence and defense policy in the Euro-Atlantic area. From the beginning of our membership in the North Atlantic Alliance, NATO has been the main pillar of Poland's security and defense. This principle remains unchanged. However, not all security threats should be dealt with by NATO. The alliance must be ready to take up the most demanding ones as defined in recent NATO military strategy, especially collective defense. The other actors, however, like the European Union, should also play their parts, nevertheless, with a clear division of labor and clear priorities. For example, they can take up some important additional tasks like the support of combating hybrid activities or extension and protection of energy supply chain, both extremely important nowadays. Needless to say, however, the responsibility that we attribute to multinational structures lies predominantly on member states. To make the alliance stronger, allies need to live up to their obligations, develop the right set of capabilities, make them available for the alliance, and declare the readiness to use them if necessary. We understand this obligation. Poland is committed to act along those lines. It is taking significant efforts to build capable armed forces ready to contribute to a credible deterrence and defense of Poland, of the region, and through that, provide a credible force to collective defense. Poland will not only keep the key parameters of the NATO Defense Investment Pledge, spending at least 2% of GDP, but will considerably go beyond the target. According to the already adopted regulations, we will increase defense spending up to 2.5% during this decade. In order to meet these assumptions, Polish Armed Forces is focusing on developing key capabilities such as operational flexibility, awareness, force protection, precision strike, or air and missile defense to be available to and useful in a multi-domain environment. To achieve that, a number of significant modernization programs have been initiated, some of them already well advanced. Polish armed forces are investing heavily in land components, focusing on heavy, high-end capabilities and to deploy it in the most vulnerable parts of Poland. I decided to establish the new 18th Mechanized Division to be equipped with many advanced weapon systems, and another division deployed in this region will be supported. Many capability development programs are supporting this aim. Quite recently, we have adopted the plan to acquire 250 Abrams tanks in their newest version. We are also procuring a significant number of self-propelled howitzers and mortars from our industry and continue modernization of Leopard 2 main battle tanks. Next year, we expect to have a new tracked personal armored carriers developed by our industry and ready for delivery to the armed forces. The advanced HIMARS system has been contracted. We re-established a number of units that were previously disbanded. The establishment of new territorial defense forces is progressing well. Their essential task is to support operational forces and respond to hybrid activities, especially in the eastern part of Poland. They have already proven their usefulness inter alia during the difficult times of COVID-19 pandemics, as well as in support to the border guard in response to the very recent Belarusian hybrid activities in our border. We are building up a multi-laned air defense system based on Patriot batteries, as well as on domestically developed very short and short-range systems. This new capability will provide a better protection to our forces, key infrastructure, and the most populated areas. In the Air Force, the program regarding the acquisition F-35 multi-role aircrafts is on its way, with delivery of the first batch of planes in 3 years' time. This new generation platform will dramatically increase the capabilities of our Air Force, elevating its situational awareness, precision strike capability, and connectivity to a completely new level. Our Navy, underinvested for many decades, will be significantly reinforced with new warships, including 3 highly modern and capable frigates with air defense capabilities. An initial contract for those ships to be delivered by domestic industry in cooperation with an experienced foreign partner has already been signed. In consequence of these efforts, the number and capability of Polish armed forces has significantly been increased. This, however, does not conclude in any way our defense plans and ambitions. The government is determined to continue the long-term significant investment in defense by providing additional necessary financial streams merged with defense capabilities programs that will enhance our deterrence and defense. Poland is open to implement this ambitious capability development plan within mutually beneficial multinational cooperation with allies. It should be aimed at effective deployment of robust operational capabilities as well as long-term cooperation in defense technologies. Our enhanced defense efforts should also be seen as Poland's additional contribution to a more fair burden sharing among all members of the Euro-Atlantic community. The US engagement in Europe must be backed by readiness of European allies to contribute to a more fair burden sharing and to strengthen their own defenses. We must all see ourselves as security providers. Synergy of NATO and EU is crucial. The EU activities should remain an important element of strengthening the responsibility of Europeans for more security of their continent. However, this process should not undermine the role of NATO and should not weaken the transatlantic bond. To conclude, in today's complex security environment, no country is able to effectively conduct its security and defense policy alone. International stability and security can only be achieved by combining national and multinational efforts. Poland is ready to take its share in providing a more secure NATO as a stand-alone contributor and as a committed member of multinational structures. While actively participating in NATO initiatives and being a member of the European Union, Poland is also investing on its own in security and defense in order to make the Polish armed forces ready and fit for purpose. This is one of the goals our government is firmly devoted to accomplishing. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a fruitful discussion. Thank you.